So this man is going to be betrayed. They will kill him, and after 3 days he will rise. But the disciples did not understand what he meant, and they were afraid to ask him about it. Instead of understanding, the next time they hit the road, they start arguing. Arguing gets repeated again. They come to Capernaum, and as Jesus enters the house, he asked them, "What were you arguing on the road about?" Arguing again. But they kept quiet. Because on the way they were talking and arguing about who's the greatest. How does a conversation like that go? I'm greater than Rick B because he just does keyboard and sings. I preach. Oh, Ann's greater than me. She does food pantry. Oh, Linda's better than that. She does the intercession ministry. Bob and Ray, they teach the studies and teach Sunday school and all. What in the world do you argue about? How in the world do you try to measure up who's the greatest? But the gospel writer is so honest about what's going on. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He puts it right out there. Once again, it's overemphasizing the reality that they had no clue what the kingdom of God was like. They had no understanding what the true mission of the Messiah was. They still didn't get it. And so they're arguing. When they're having a special time of questions and answers with Jesus, they're quiet. But then when they get amongst themselves, they're arguing. So as he comes in the house and he sits down, he does that rabbi thing and invites everybody to take a seat. And then he teaches. If anyone wants to be first, he must be the very last. The upside down kingdom. And the servant of all. When we get to chapter 10, verse 45 says, "For the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And so we find that the whole foundation of the kingdom of heaven is not about seeking a place of prominence and importance, but it's taking the towel and washing one another's feet. It's caring. It's caring for others. It's becoming a servant, which is really fun. Because I remember as a teenager when I came across this and I was reading the Gospels and I was thinking of that and I thought, well, I want to still be first. So I guess I'll be the most servant of all. I'll just be the best servant there is. I'll show you that I can humble myself better than you. I will stoop so low because I'm number one. It's like, I think somewhere in the process of trying to fulfill greatness, number one priority, in the midst of humbling ourselves and serving others, I think somewhere along the line we finally catch on. And that ambition kind of goes out and it gets engulfed by his love. And his love becomes the foundation of what we do. And so we serve one another out of love, not out of importance and priority and, well, I need to have so-and-so over because, they might give me a good deal on a new car or something. It's not networking systems so that we can somehow gain an advantage. But it's realizing that when we have him, we have everything that we need. And when he has been our fullest desire, then his love will cause us to serve, and to serve without seeking anything in return. We'll just serve. We will be last. There's so many different ways in which we do so much goofy stuff with this first shall be last and the last first. Sometimes, it's like, well, why'd you come in last? because the last shall be first, and we got all that kind of nonsense. But I think what Jesus is saying, he reemphasizes with an object lesson, and he takes a young child and he sets the boy in front of them all. Notice what he says. I love that he takes him in his arms. He just doesn't put him out there, but then Jesus takes him, put him in his arms. And he says, whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me. Now, if you're wondering, did they get that? No. Another chapter, Jesus has to rebuke them because they're shooing the children away. And Jesus says, oh, no, stop it. Let the little ones come. Here, in the culture of the day, a child wasn't quite esteemed as much as it currently is in our culture. Sometimes we get so centered around our grandchildren. But back then, a child was, it seemed like in the 50s, this seemed to be kind of my parents and their parents, kind of more my grandparents' way of children are to be seen and not heard. You dismiss children. You put them over there. When you're having a dinner, the children's table are over here and the adults are over here. The adults ate steak. Children, we got hot dogs. And, so there was something that was going on even in the 50s and 60s. Now you get my grandkids. We eat the hot dogs. They eat the steak. My 3 granddaughters love steak. But the point that Jesus is showing here is that in the current culture, children were dismissed. They were not really taken very seriously. And he's saying it's about the first shall be last. The servant of all is the one who is the most esteemed. And as the children come, if you welcome a child, what is it that you do when you welcome a child? You accept and receive. When a child is welcomed, in this case, Jesus has got his arms around. He's welcomed, he's received, he's embraced. He's brought in to the person's life. And he says, when you bring children in, people that are the culture of that day would say, it's not important. When you bring them in, you're welcoming me. And when you're welcoming me, you're welcoming my Father who sent me. Now there's something special about welcoming the Father. And when we humble ourselves and we're just in service and we're just serving out of love, when we are receiving people, really doesn't matter what their age is, but when we're receiving people, we're receiving Jesus. And we're receiving the Father who sent Jesus.